With a wavy head.
I've got a ginger
Alright, here's
beard
another
there.
one. Was this in Italy too?
Yeah, that was the cazot where we used to
Let's see
sleep.
this, excuse me.
Oh, that's the same.
The light in there was the trouble.
See, they were only young when to be overseas. You can see that, can't you?
Mm.
Oh gosh, look.
I don't know.
I can
Roy's not that much older than me, but he's,
who can I see there?
I think he said he's 98.
I can see Nairi.
Oh, yes.
You can see the look. There's a look fit likeness through all that on Jim's side. You can see it. With
Did
the
you see-
nieces and nephews.
Did you?
So do you want to... This was all in Italy.
And you don't have to plug in
I've
at all
got
of
other
that, Scott.
photographs.
It's great, isn't it?
Mm. Just these three would be fine. So what are you doing here?
I don't know. I can't remember. We've been helping with the vendemmia, the grapes. I don't seem to have as many. Oh, I've got some in my hand there. And there's some in his hand there. And that's Luigi. He was the one that got me to live in the house. And,
Is he an Italian man?
yeah.
And is this his family?
No, I can't understand that one much. To me, that looks like Pietro. He lost his son in a German prison camp. He had to go and try and stop him going to Germany. The Germans took a lot of Italian soldiers prisoner at the end of the war, after the armistice.
Right.
And, he paddled for miles
And what's the armistice?
to get the armistice of Italy and the Allies.
Oh, that might be to me.
And when Mussolini was deposed. That would be a Pietro. He was the
Renata, can you shut that door?
he was the second eldest son. Luigi was about the third, I think, and he took over the head of the family.
Mm.
And,
So did you work for this Italian family?
mhm.
Did you work for
Yeah,
the Italian
worked for him for about a fortnight, and then the Germans got a bit close. Germans started to fill up in Italy, and
I've got a flat now, but I'm not going to get my flat number.
can't think.
I'm not going to home here. I stay with my parents.
Yes, I helped to
Not here.
plough one of their paddocks
Yeah,
with bullocks, and
yeah.
they were quite happy for me to work for them. But then we had to go into hiding because we were being captured again.
Mm. So where did you go into hiding?
And on the top of the stall, they had a hay loft. We were underneath the hay, like a little room under the hay.
Mm. And they never found you?
No. And we were supposed to have gone to Yugoslavia to go home that way. They told everybody. And they knew we went there, all the neighbours, but as far as they were concerned, we were gone.
Mm.
What do you mean about it?
Just hid there in the daytime and went out for a walk at night.
Yeah. Oh,
Trying to think who this. That's Gino, I think. That's
Do you want me to show the photo?
yeah.
that's Gino. He's Pietro's son, eldest son, and Roy has got him a scholarship to go to England to learn to speak English properly. His son, not Pietro, his Pietro's grandson.
Mm.
He's gone to England to study now. Where this is, it looks like a hay paddock. It might be wheat.
So you escaped from a prison.
Well, we didn't really escape. We were left with a guard to look after us if the Germans came. And the guards left, so we just walked around wherever we liked. And the Germans gave us a bit of a fright. They got close in the village, and Luigi the night before, he told me that if ever I was in trouble, to come to his house called Boozer. And Roy said he'd come with me, so the two of us were together.
And so you stayed with this Italian family for 2 weeks.
Oh no, I saw 2 Christmases, I think, with them. Must have been nearly 2 years. I got out in 1945. It'd be 1943 really. The only way I could find out is what time what year the armistice was. A bit of an idea. We used to work for them occasionally. They used to eat a lot of maize. They made polenta, like porridge. And we used to put the corn cobs in this machine. I turned the handle and Roy pushed the pidockies, we called them, the corn cobs, in, and the grain got taken off the pidockies. And they had big place as big as this. They're full of these corn cobs. They used to send it to the mill and get it ground up and make porridge of it. So that was their main food. And, in the winter, they relied on beans, dwarf beans, and potatoes as their main diet for the winter.
And so you had to keep an eye out for the Germans all the time.
Well, no, we weren't so much afraid of the Germans as we were of the Italian fascists that we've been fighting. They would have told that we weren't Italians. Didn't look enough like Italians, you know. Roy would pass, but I wouldn't. I wouldn't have passed as an Italian.
And so how did you get out of Italy?
Oh, we had to wait for a patrol boat to take us back to Ancona. It was down further down the coast where the soldiers were, our soldiers were. At Rimini, I think it was. A big port.
How did you get separated from your soldiers? How did you get captured?
Oh. And we weren't supposed to be fighting. We were protecting. The battalion I was with was protecting another battalion in support. And we were in support of the battalion because I was an engineer and I had the mine detector. I had to pick up mines if they found them. And it was really a trap. But when we were marching towards this place where we had the objective, I could hear a bulldozer working up on the hill. Sounded like a bulldozer clanking. And it was when it was a bit quiet I heard it. And I just took notice of that. The next day, early in the morning when it became light, these 4 tanks came down from that hill, and the lead tank, the commander, he just stayed alongside us and shot at the anti-tank guns. They were only little guns. And the men looking after the anti-tank guns, they had to get away on their truck. And we were defenceless then. And I only know the officer's name as Kippenberg. I don't know his rank now. What it was then, I think he'd be a brigadier. Brigadier Kippenberger came and he talked to the officers of the battalion and said that we had to stick it out for an hour, and if it got no better we'd have to surrender. And we just had to surrender to this tank. Because he was guarded by 3 other tanks in line behind him a long way away. If we made a move towards him, they would have shot us from further back. And trouble was, the infantry had never been trained to be what to do if they were taken prisoner, and they took all their rifles off and their web equipment and just surrendered, left their water bottles behind. And I knew what to do. I had my water bottle on a strap, and we were lined up, not knowing what to do. The commander of the tank was watching over us all the time, and one of the braver men walked towards the tank and said, "Can we go and get our water bottles?" And the German officer said, "Water? We haven't got any water." Water bottle. Yes, go. And they went back and got some water bottles, but nobody had water. We had to march. We'd march that night for about 3 hours, I think. And we had to march another 3 hours to get to where they were going to take us in trucks. And no water, and it was terrible. I had to let other people drink out of my water bottle because they were really thirsty. It wasn't until that night we got a cup of water each and army biscuits. And my friend was captured with me. He said, "Jim," he said, "don't bother eating the biscuits. They're like razor blades because we're so dry." And I just drank the water. And they put us on a big diesel truck. And by that time I'd been in the diesel truck, and I got into this little prison camp they had, and it was probably one that we built ourselves. They used it for themselves. Then we went to Mersa Matruh. We got as far as Mersa Matruh, and there was water in a tank alongside us, and they gave us a little drink there. And we went as far as Saloon. It was on the Libyan border, and the Italian driver was a fine chap. He said he stopped at Saloon when it was like the seaside. He said, "You can all go for a swim." And we went for a swim. I'd fallen and I'd raised all my back of my spine when the truck was going over the desert. They wouldn't go by road because they were afraid of being bombed by planes. They just took over on the desert. And I went about 3 feet in the air and landed on my behind. And it was good to get in and have a swim. And he later on, when we were travelling with him again, he handed back sandbag full of meat and vegetable tins, and we had a little bit of a feed. He didn't have to do that. He must have collected it and thought he'd give it to any prisoners that he had to take, because that was his job. He was another good Italian. And we went to Tobruk, and the German planes were landing all the new reinforcements for the Germans. They were all pink legs, and they weren't used to the sun and like we were. And they were going round in a circle, and one would come down and land and let the troops off, and then another one would come down and land. That was in Tobruk, and we didn't have they didn't give us much water there, but there were a lot of Indian troops, and the coloured people from South Africa. They were there, and they gave us their water ration for the day. And they looked after us as best they could, because they were being more careful than we were. We left Tobruk and went to Derna. And at Derna, they searched us all. The German soldier was still under the Germans, but the Italians were going to look after us. And they lined us up, and the camp commandant must have told them to search us for knives and things like that. And being engineers, we were issued with a clasp knife, had them on a belt, and we had to hand those over. Had a tin opener on it, on the clasp knife, very handy knife. And I had in my pocket a little steel thing that you struck on a flint, and I had a little tinder. It was like a little yellow rope. If you struck the flint, it lit the tinder. You blew on it and it smouldered, and everybody could have a smoke or whatever we had while making fire. And when I took it out of my pocket, there was an Italian with the German. He said, "Can I have that?" And he grabbed this off me, and then we had no way of making fire. The whole outfit. We didn't have many matches or anything like that with us. And this chap had to take that off me. And they issued us with a tin of Italian bully beef, and we had no tin openers then, and they'd taken the knife, and how we opened them, I don't know, somehow with stones and something that someone had managed to open the tins. And we stayed there just the night, and the next stop was at Benghazi, and we were put in a place, we call it the palm trees at Benghazi, where it must have been a little oasis outside Benghazi, and there was running water. You could wash and have drinking water. And the dates weren't ripe, they were green dates, and the men climbed up the trees to get them down, and they cooked them. They said they were like beans. They tasted like beans or something. They shouldn't have eaten them. And if we'd stayed there when they were ripe, we'd had plenty to eat. But they took us away from there and took us right into Benghazi, and we were on a flat. And we all had tents, Italian tents, and we got very little. We used to get a little bit of coffee. It wasn't real coffee, I don't think. And it's supposed to be coffee and a teaspoon of sugar. to make drinks. How we lit the fires, I don't know, but somebody lit a fire, and everybody used to take the fire to their fire and light it. A lot of the men liked cooking. They used to cook everything, what we had, and they make cups of tea, cups of coffee, and we stayed there for quite a long while. They took us from there right down to the wharf. There was this Italian ship. We all climbed up one after the other, and they put us in the hold at the bottom of the hold. And it was full of men when I got there. There was one space where someone could sit. That was all, and that was my place. And when I got there, it was just a big smear of tar, and I had an army ground sheet which the South African blacks had given me. I put that down over the tar, and that was my seat. And some of the men had rigged up hammocks best they could with their shirts and whatnot, and they were sleeping in hammocks that made room. And we stayed on that ship for two days at least, all crowded in, nowhere to move. And we went to Greece, went through the Corinth Canal, and it was two cliffs alongside us. That's all we could see. We were closed in the hold. We didn't see very much, but we did see the Corinth Canal, and we went through to a place called Piraeus, and I could see when I got up on the deck at night. We lit up one at a time. I saw lights, and I thought, if I dived overboard I could swim to Greece, but I couldn't see Greece. All I could see was a few lights, and I didn't know which way to go, so I didn't bother. Unless I could have tried to swim that far, but I probably would have drowned because I was very weak. And we went from there to the heel of Italy. There was like a boot, and we went to the heel of Italy called Taranto. He took us ashore there, and I think the Red Cross, the Italian Red Cross, must have seen the state we were in, and they wanted us to have a shower and get cleaned up. And they set us on forms, and they shaved us all over and got rid of all the hairs. And we had a shower, and we didn't have any soap. Their soap was like sand soap. It wasn't too good. And they took us across the harbour and in a little boat, and they put us on a train, and we went north to a place called Bari. To me it looked like an officer's camp, but it was full of tents for us chaps. And there we did get some fresh food. We had cheese, a piece of cheese and an onion, and the water was beautiful, spring water, and we all started to feel much better. And we went on a train after we did a little bit of work there, and they took us on this train right up the coast of Italy, right up past Venice, and way up near the Alps. We were in a camp there quite a long time.
Thank you. That's enough.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
To the old.
Thank you very much. And we've got pictures of these photos on the video, Scott.
Yeah, we'll just get some photos. Put them down on the floor.
What were you doing here, Poppy?
Oh, that
Was it just in the fields?
That was when we first went. That was when we first went to live with these people, and they were afraid to keep us in the house, so they built a little house of the maize stalks. These were like sheaves, and they made a roof of them, and we slept there for 2 or 3 weeks, I think,
You put me on the floor, Scott.
looking after the vineyard. The grapes were getting ripe. That's Luigi, Pietro, Roy and myself and the two kiddies. And that was when we were living in the house at that time, and the grapes were ripe, and they were harvesting the grapes, and we had bunches of grapes in our hands. And I think it's Luigi in the middle again. And this one is the Kazot. It means a little old house, Kazot, that you keep as a sentry, that nobody came and stole the grapes. That was supposed to be our job, but we were hiding in there.
Cool.
That's it.
Okay.
I have got other photographs. The photograph